How can I increase my income? There's a nice ring to that sentence, but the question remains the same. How? You need a plan. Whether you're employed or not, we discuss ways to keep your income increasing. And don't forget that control is yours. So Paul, today we want to talk about the income side of building wealth. So first tell us, what's growing our income got to do with building our overall wealth?
Well, I think, wealth as a definition is really the tangible and the intangible feelings that you get around, feeling wealthy. If you're running a successful business, you want to ensure that you've got good cash flow. So if you've got good cash flow, from a personal perspective, you need good income, and you need that consistently flowing into generate that wealth.
And that's where it all starts, right? It's, we've got to get income from somewhere to start the whole saving cycle and building sort of wealth from there, right?
Sure, but I think you've got to take responsibility for that, because if you assume that your only opportunity for income is from the salaried job that you take, you have to take responsibility to say, well, how can I increase that? How can I look for opportunities within that role to extend and improve that income line? And if you can't do that directly, then look at other avenues that you can make and generate income from another stream.
And, I mean, that's a really important point that you've made about the responsibility. I mean, many a time, I've been an advisor for over 10 years, and what I find in my experience is that responsibility, especially people who are in an employed job. We think that our income is defined by our employer because they pay our salaries. And so I used to think that as well, that I can't increase my own income because I'm paid by somebody else.
Right.
So let's just talk a little bit more about that, about like whose responsibility is it to define that income for the rest of your life?
Well, I think if you look at it from a we're in sales perspective, business is about selling products and services. Well, I think you've got to take it upon yourself to say, I've got to sell myself into this role and find opportunity for sales within that role. And I think a lot of the time, people don't necessarily talk to their peers. They certainly aren't confident enough to go to their manager, their boss, the owner, and say, look, this is where I want to be. This is the kind of income generation that I think I deserve. Looking at the business from an outside perspective, how can I add value to your business but increase my income? And I think those candid conversations would really help somebody to at least define a pathway to improve income.
I mean, money's always that subject where it's not so open. And as an employer yourself, how important is it? So if you were interviewing me and I, came in for a job that you were advertising, how would that land with you if I started to talk about, this is the level of income that I want to earn,
right,
and this is what I want to earn over the course of the next 3, 4, 5 years,
sure,
and increasing in this way?
Sure, I think it's, that's welcomed, but, where's the benefit for me as well? So you'd you can't say, well, look, I deserve more money because I deserve more money. But we talk about compensation and benefits, in the business line that says, well, how can I move from here to here? But how can I take your business from here to here? So there has to be a relative conversation around, I'm going to improve your business. And this is my reward, and that's why it's called compensation and benefit, as opposed to that's my salary for that particular job. And I think good entrepreneurs will welcome that, entrepreneurship, if you will.
And so that becomes really important, right, in terms of when you're going even for an interview. And it comes back to, as you mentioned earlier, the whole sales cycle.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about how, and let's use that example, maybe either in an interview, either for a new job or maybe a new position within the same company. in the example of an interview, what would you say to our viewers listening today? What can they do within that interview to help them really ground and integrate that income conversation with the how I'm going to increase the value of your company?
I think first of all you've got to understand their business. You really have to do your research.
The preparation.
What is the business about? What are the lines of revenue that the business drives today? And then possibly ask some questions around, what is the future of the business going to be? Where do you think this business can go? Because then if you've taken the interest in the business growth, naturally the business owner or the interviewer will say they've got an interest, they've got an understanding of our business, and I think they can add value there. And then if you can integrate that conversation in, well, if we can go on this journey together for improved income for your business and cash flow for your business, then I surely would be rewarded appropriately. So I think it's that kind of conversation as opposed to that's my baseline salary expectation and I'd like to see that improved 5% per year relative to inflation, for example.
So have it more, so what you're saying is have it more in line with what value can I bring to the company itself?
It has to be. I mean, it really has to be. But understanding what that value has as an asset to the business and where we can actually go on the journey together for improved wealth for both the business and the individual.
Great. And let's talk on the other side then about the innovative ways of increasing income. Let's say now we've taken that, right, I'm destined to write my own income. So what are the other ways, being more innovative, of ways that I can continuously, and our viewers listening today, can increase their income?
I think you first of all find something that you're passionate about. So if you're happy in the organisation that you're working with, but you know that you've almost hit that top bar level and you can't go much further with that, look at other things that you're interested in and look at being creative around how you can drive some other revenue. So you might be interested in, I don't know, property, or you might be interested in art, or collections of some kind, gold or whatever it be, and then look at investing into that side of it. But you have to have the passion for that. You have to be this is what I love doing anyway. I do this as a hobby.
So creating different lines of income.
Absolutely. And I think if most organisations, if you take what Jack Welch did with GE, he took so many different lines of revenue opportunities and managed people within those really well. So I think, from a personal perspective, take ownership of that and say, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I really enjoy. And by the way, the income will come through that as a stream, even if you're in employment. And then you get to the stage where it almost crosses that boundary, so that you're in this situation where, do you stay with the job, or do you actually take this on and go your own route and become an entrepreneur? And I think that it's almost an easy path to take then, if you're...
Because you've almost set yourself up to... The transition becomes easier.
Sure. But make the transition. That's the important thing. Make that decision at the right time. And that's the hard work as well. But at least find something that you're absolutely passionate about, either within your organisation that you're working for, or something that really drives you outside of that organisation.
Great. And what about in terms of when let's say the entrepreneur itself, so when you're a business owner and you're looking at your business, your accounts and your cash flow that you talked about, what are some ways that a business owner can start to increase their income?
I think, again, it depends on the industry that you're at. I think you look outside of your own business, you look at your competitors, obviously, you take the best from what they're doing. But sometimes, it's just about getting some people around you that you really trust and thinking about what are the opportunities that are still connected to my business. I think it can be a mistake to go in a totally different direction, direction. If you're in, like we're in the education and learning sector, it would be, it will be acceptable to go into HR or classroom-based training as opposed to online. But to go into, I don't know, property development would if there's not an alignment to your key business. But I think, bring a good team of people around and really start to disrupt what you're already doing and look at opportunities within.
And what sort of research should we be doing then to come up with such ideas?
I think, you know, again, everything's in the palm of your hand these days. I think it's ideas, but I think sometimes you need to be quiet and get away from that and just, you know, just spend time and the creativity starts to appear. And I think it's important to just get the balance of, you know, the research that's already there, because you're following other organisations. And of course, if that's a good route to go, then you would take the best of that. Yeah. But sometimes it's just totally, you know, what can I do that's within the lines and the remit of what I'm already doing, but increase these revenue streams.
Yeah. So it seems it's really about asking better questions.
Absolutely.
I mean, I recently spent some time with Tony Robbins, and one of the things that he really talks about in Business Mastery is that thinking time you've just said.
Sure.
And, you know, some of the most successful people on this planet, they schedule that in their diary.
Sure.
And, you know, he was sharing his diary and he actually says thinking time.
Sure.
And it's put in there.
Fabulous.
And it was really funny because he was telling us about, you know, at first when he started putting this thinking time, it was just thinking time.
Yeah.
And he sat there and he said he fell asleep.
Right.
And it was simply because he created this space, but he didn't ask himself a question to think about.
Right.
And it was as simple as that.
Sure.
And what revolutionized his success story, or one of the things, was that in his thinking time, he placed a question. Like, what was he thinking about?
Sure.
So, for example, one could be, what are ways I can add value to more of my customers to increase income?
Sure.
So it's actually one of the
Absolutely.
success strategies.
And I think there's a good structure around that, that you know, that sort of area of, well, I'm going to think now, or I'm not going to think now.
And it's so powerful. And like you said, you know, put some good people together, and that's your boardroom meetings.
Absolutely.
Right? So how powerful is your boardroom meeting to increasing the company's business?
Sure. And I think sometimes you can talk to people that are outside of your industry altogether. So we can share, you know, best practice around that. You know, being part of, you know, a network like the SME 100 in Dubai has been fantastic, because you bounce in ideas from other industries, specialists and entrepreneurs. And although it's not relative to your business, you can take these concepts and ideas and have a totally different, you know, outlook on that and try to implement some of these ideas.
Great. So thank you. I mean, I think the key thing here is, one, take responsibility, as you've said, and two, start to ask yourself better questions in increasing that income.
And we're all in sales, right?
Yes, and we're all in sales. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
So let's move on to this week's viewer's question.
Hi, I'm Baz. What should I do to increase my income?
So increasing your own income really starts with taking that responsibility for yourself. So what I would suggest that you do is really outline for yourself what it is, what level of income you want now and in the future. And second thing is really ask yourself some better questions. And the better questions would be, what other products and services can I provide for my customers? Or if you're employed and you're not in a sales-based role, then what are the questions you want to be asking in your pay review to enhance your level of income? And you really need to be linking that to the value you are adding to the company. And that's what will increase your income, and that's how to start. So this week's project for the week is create your own income planner. Take a piece of paper and section it off to the next 4 quarters of the year, just like this. Decide what income you want and write it down, but be realistic. So if you're on 20,000 dirhams per month, don't put you want 100,000 dirhams a month by the next quarter, unless you have a realistic plan. Then for each quarter, brainstorm how you could get that income. Is it in extra sales, or is it in a pay increase? Or is it finding new additional income? Just brainstorm and then look at them later. Then pick a few of your ideas and start to action them. Stay conscious and focused, and your income will increase. You just have to decide how much you want, and the rest is a process. So let us know how this week's project has gone for you. Don't forget to leave your comments on the comment section below, and we look forward to seeing you at another episode of UAE Money Talk.